on, if you haven't voted, go ahead and vote on one of those two, please, so that we get more votes. Okay. Industry, academia. Why should go into one or the other? How do we want to tackle this one? Because this one sounds like everybody's gonna have a perspective. Everybody's in a different place on this one. Maybe, I think one thing that would be interesting to do is to start with Jacob, because he's the most junior. Won't be much longer, Jacob. You're not going to be the most junior. I think everybody will agree. Sometimes it'll happen very quickly. You'll suddenly be one of the most senior people here. But let's just say, like, if you had to say, let's say if you had 1 to 5, 1 being strong industry, 5 being strong academia, 3 being not sure, not neither, but not sure. Where do you sit? Oh, I'm sorry, Shri. Why did I say Jacob? I'm sorry, Shri, you go first. So if you're thinking about this 1 to 5, where does your heart? You don't have to give an explanation. If you choose not to give a reason why, you don't have to give a reason. It is not required. But I think it's just good for us to know where everybody sits on this spectrum. 1 is, okay, so 1 is strong industry. 5 is strong academia. So it's a Likert-ish scale.
Yeah, so I would go with 2, somewhere in the 2.
Okay.
More biased towards industry than academia.
And maybe you can highlight one goal or sort of one. I don't want to use the metric because that might not be the right word here, but one thought that you had that's helping you decide.
I think it would be more on, I'm not so good in writing or anything, something like that. Writing part, and I wanna do more of a development for now at least, but I don't know what I'm gonna do, so I'm still deciding. I would go somewhere in the 2 region, 2.5, where I'm more biased towards industry.
All right, Jacob.
I think I probably fall in like the 2 range as well. One reason I want to go into industry is because I want to start my own business one day. Obviously, you can go into academia and do that. Dr. Locke is evidence of that. But but I have never really worked at a large company before, and I would like that experience. I mean, I guess I could do an internship as well, and that's an option to do as well. But that's always kind of been my goal, and I knew that doing a PhD would help me to develop like independence and developing my thinking and things of that line. And so I think maybe going into industry for a little bit will help to develop areas that I haven't worked on before.
And that's a great point. One thing I will then jump in right now and say, if you go down one path, it doesn't close off the other. All right. So this is not for forever. This is not a for forever decision. Whoever wrote that, and everybody can be rest assured that that's a good thing. Alex is a good example of that. I'm a good example of the other direction. So it doesn't. There's not a. You're not making a choice that you have to live with for the rest of your life. So that should hopefully lower the. You're not making a forever decision. Okay. So great. All right. Who's next? Mohan, right?
Yeah. I would say 3. But if industry offers me software development, I would go for academia. If academia gives me lecture, I would go for industry.
Okay. All right. Tima, would you like to go?
Oh, Hank first.
I thought you all. Didn't you both start at the same time? Oh, I guess in our group you did, but overall, okay. Hank, go ahead.
So I would say somewhere between 2 and 3. So the reason is that I think for the PhD, I want to learn the independent research skills, but for the industry, I would like to do like the development with more structure, and with the more material skills and the software and the master.
Okay.
Okay. I'm also 2. I like kind of like both of them for different reasons. I like freedom that you can have like in academia to work on research topic that interests you. But also I like industry, how like fast things are moving on, and like I never like experienced like working in big companies, and it was something that I always like wanted to gain experience more. So for me, that is also very exciting, but more lean toward industry.
Okay. Stevie.
If you have the chat open, the spacebar trick doesn't work, and it throws me off every time. I guess it ranges from like 2.5 to 3.5, but I think right now I'm feeling like 3.5, or maybe a 3.75. I think there's a lot. There's a lot more flexibility, I think, that maybe we haven't seen or maybe experienced in academia. I know, and I think it could let you try out a lot of different things. By that I mean like you can do more of a hybrid feel where, you know, maybe for your lab you partner with someone in industry and you work with someone at like Facebook or, you know, HTC Vive or whatever. So I think there's more options to get a hybrid if you go into academia. And then, you know, there's the things like you can always go for if you get to the point where you have a sabbatical, you can like work at a company for a while then. So I think it's always something, like Dr. Locke said, there's never like a closed door really. I think Mohan made a really good point. I personally don't have an interest in being a software developer, and I don't necessarily want to just be a lecturer either. So there's kind of limitations there. And then another big factor for me is location, although it may seem maybe less of an issue later, but I want to live where I feel happiest, and that necessarily isn't Silicon Valley, which is where a lot of the jobs are. So maybe that will change, but that's something that I has impacted my decision so far. Yeah. Plus, it's cool to see the impact you have on people in academia. So those are my thoughts today. They may change.
Alex.
Yeah, it's me. So I think I completely agree with Stevie. Academia brings the flexibility to some extent, and that lets you at some point, not always, but at some point, pick what you want to study, what you want to work with. With that said, my experience in the industry, I don't remember working in the same topic, in the same job. Although I worked 10 years for Accenture, I didn't work at the same job for more than 2 years. And so every 2 years, I would be pretty much doing something completely different, in a different position with different people, different companies. So it's not as boring as it may sound. So you may start as a developer. Pretty soon, if you're good as a developer, they will turn you into something else. They will throw a challenge at you and make you become something else. I think what really at some point what I got tired of is mostly at some point in the industry there's a lot of doing something because of the money, right? So there's an artificial deadline because of some financial gain or something like that. That at some point you see yourself working so many hours to achieve this financial goal that is so not palpable at some point. So that always got me a little tired. But if you remove that, it's yeah, I like both. So I am right now. I am a 4, but I enjoy both. I really enjoy both sides. I think it's fun. I had a meeting with people from the industry mostly, right? This morning, and it's the mindset's different, the goals are different. It's interesting too. So I can't yeah, I don't want to say bad things in either side.
All right, I'll go. So I think I'm probably a 6. So I'm both strong academia and strong industry. I just kind of, I love both of them. I really do. I think the one bit of advice that maybe I'd hand out is, I think in academia, especially when I got tenure, which was about 6 years into being a professor, I had to ask myself, why am I really doing this? Because you don't, if you're not doing it, because in the first 5-6 years, so I think a lot of you know in academia, you're typically an assistant professor. That means you are in a trial probationary period for roughly 6 years. Then after that, you either get tenure or you're move on to another university. So it's a pretty stressful proposition. So whenever you get it, typically there's a lot of joy and happiness. But one thing that it happened to me was for me to really ask myself, well, why did I take this role? Because it can't be because, oh, my parents love telling other their brothers and sisters that, you're a professor. That's not going to cut it, right? And it makes you ask yourself, well, what measure or what metric do you care about for your time here? Right? We all have a finite amount of time, and you have to ask yourself, well, what is it? What is the number that matters that for you? And everyone, you don't have to say what yours is, but for me, before getting tenure and after getting tenure, before getting tenure, it was going to be, well, my research has the most impact, and then afterwards, it was my mentorship has the most impact. So for me, the thing that I enjoy doing is because I get to hang out with all of you. And I know that each one of you will go off and hang out and influence other people. And for me, there's very few other jobs that provide that. And so the reason why we meet every week, the reason why I'm willing to give you harsh criticism if I think it's necessary, not to make you feel bad, but to help improve you, is because I think that's the most important thing. And that's why I take this job. Now, it happens so that it's afforded me, my family and I, a very nice, comfortable life, a lot of security and stability, which I'm very grateful for. But that's giving you an insight about what I care about. And so that's the thing I would leave for you for the rest of today. So we can, we can end the meeting today, but it's to start to think about what is that measure of why you're doing what you're doing. What do you want to be measured for at the end? Alex, did you have something you want to say?
Oh yeah. So there's one thing that the MBA teaches you. It's written in Accenture's book. When you get to a management position, they start telling you this, and it really doesn't matter how much you make. That will not motivate you for long, right? So try to find something that you really enjoy. You may be making a lot of money. At some point, you stop and you ask yourself, why am I doing this? And it's not going to be the money. You're going to say, okay, I know I get good money. It's enough. Why am I really doing this? And so that complements, I think, what you said, Ben. But if you're really thinking about industry, try to find something that is beyond the money, because that thing about, well, if you do something well, money will come and blah, blah, blah. Of course, in the industry, it will come faster and the numbers will be better. But at some point, you'll be in a very good position in the industry, and you're going to stop and you say, why am I doing this again? And you have to find some motivation to continue, because if not, you're gonna go do something else, probably for less money.
Yeah, and academia has just afforded me a way to reach more than most people that I could ever imagine. And I'll leave you at this: Shadow Health, as you all know, I co-founded the company 9 years ago. Now, this year will be used by hundreds of thousands of students, literally hundreds of thousands of students. And those students, when they leave, will actually have over, I think, 400 million patient encounters a year. So that means the entire population of the US and Canada. And so for your ideas and the stuff that you all are working on, to actually be able to impact everybody that you see, that's pretty special. That's pretty cool. So anyways, hopefully that's inspiring for you all to think about what is it that matters to you. I'd shared with you what matters to me, but it has to be a personal journey. Like I said, it can't be one for your family, can't be one for your friends, and you have to be honest with yourself. If it is to make a lot of money, don't get me wrong, there's some people who that is their goal. They want to make a ton of money, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. if that's your goal, you just have to be honest with yourself about what it is that matters, and that could change. So it might be that for the first few years, and then life can change. So you just want to build in some time to reflect. And for me, it's really been a ton of fun to, when I came upon that the thing I cared about was the mentorship of students, because that is that to me is really the joy. So I'll leave you with this. One of my good friends when I was in graduate school, his name is Sharif Razak, who's one of the inventors of redirected walking. Actually, I still remember the first time that he showed me redirected walking, and I almost threw up in the lab because he had the coefficient set totally wrong. Sharif was he wanted to go. He was down to his last semester of graduate school, and then he walked into. He was getting really nervous because he just didn't want to finish, even down to the last semester, and he wanted to quit. And he walked into Dr. Brooks's office, and he says, "Dr. Brooks, I want to leave. I want to, go into industry." Dr. Brooks said, "Yeah, let me help you find a job." And Sharif was just so shocked because he was so nervous to tell his advisor that he didn't want to finish his PhD. And I remember asking, I said, "Sharif, what did he say? I mean, how did you, I can't believe he didn't get mad at you, or he invested all this time in you, and you're turning your back on him or whatever." We all thought that he would be a very negative reaction, but he said, "No." Dr. Brooks said, "The research comes and goes, but the students are why you're here." And so I always thought that was such a cool way to phrase it. And of course, when he treated Sharif so well, Sharif ended up staying and finishing his PhD and had a very good career of more publications, and is still seen as a leader in redirected walking. So, but I always remember him saying, "The research comes and goes, but the students are why you're here." So anyways, cool. All right, anything else for today that